Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Azeroth Daily for the 20th of December 2010. My name is TotalBiscuit, bringing you your daily dose of WoW news and comment. In the headlines today, there is a huge arena bug currently going on that is, at present, unaddressed by Blizzard. Now, what this is causing is massively inflated arena ratings. There is a way to exploit the system whereby you are able to avoid ever getting a loss in terms of your so-called MMR and your actual arena rating. Now, some of you might think it's irresponsible to actually let people know how to do this, but I feel that it does need to be put out there so Blizzard fixes it quicker, and so they're actually aware of the problem. So what's happening is when you quit just before the scoreboard appears, you will not lose any rating from actually losing a game. Yeah? So if a player leaves the arena before it ends, just before the scoreboard, then they're not losing anything from it. Now, that's causing some players to get up to massive, ridiculous levels, who are obviously exploiting this system, and it does need to be fixed as quickly as possible. Bearing in mind that we're just sort of on the end of the first week of the Season 9 now, and this needs to be clamped down on immediately before the entire season is effectively ruined, assuming that it's not already. If you are playing arenas, I would not recommend you exploit it because, of course, you could be putting yourself at risk of banning. But I'm putting it out there so that Blizzard, 1, knows it's happening, and 2, has an incentive to fix it ASAP. I think it's also about time that we give a little bit of love over to the staff at MMO Champion, who are consistently providing excellent news, and indeed for their help during the beta period, which did contribute a significant amount of views and subscribers to this channel. So one could say that bibi and his crew over there are definitely part of the success of the Total Halibut channel, so I'm going to give a big thank to them, as well as give them a bit of promotion right now. But first, I thought the best way to thank bibi for all of his work and his kindness was to absolutely mutilate his language. J'adore bibi. Il fait parvenir les meilleurs nouvelles et ne temps pas garfield. Il ne me vole pas ma lasagne, ce n'est donc pas un probleme. MMO Champion has an excellent guide out to the new rare elite spawns. You might have heard a little bit about this during the beta. These things appear in every zone. They're kind of like mini-world bosses. They're not raid bosses, but they are rare elite spawns that will drop a specific item, and there's one in each of the new zones. There's a full guide to how to find them and what they drop over on MMO Champion. The link is in the description below this video. I'd highly recommend you go and check it out. Of course, this is getting some people a little bit riled up because they think that these things should be secret and this information should not go out there. I beg to differ. This is what news is all about. You're supposed to release information, not hide it from everyone so that you personally get a free farm on these bosses. Competition is important, folks. That's how world bosses always were, and that's how these will be as well. I'd also like to let people know that MMO Champion is holding a contest at the moment, whereby if you sign up to their Facebook page, you just need to click like on their Facebook, you get put into a hat. Yes, not my hat, sadly. It's a little bit stylish. It's one of those French hats. One has to assume it's a giant beret or something like that. And you have a chance of winning some awesome loot. So you might want to go and do that. Link is in the description below this video. For those with even a passing interest in the WoW TCG, you'll be pleased to know that Cryptozoic has finally launched a new website for it. And it is about time, considering there hasn't been anything up to date for quite some time now, and the release of Worldbreaker is upon us. So I'd highly recommend that if you have an interest in the WoW TCG, you go click a link in the description below this video. Yes, and I might be doing something on the TCG at some point in future. I did used to play it an awful lot. I would be interested in getting back into it. So keep your eyes peeled on this channel. And with that, it's time for your Daily Blues. Zahim responds to some criticism by a player over on the US forums in regards to nerfing heroics. Now, while his answer is pretty awesome, actually, and points out a number of abilities that have been changed but not directly buffed or nerfed, such as, say, Forge Master Throngus's Impaling Slam, which now does less damage but is no longer mitigated by fire resistance. So, there is a kind of big change there. I have to say, he's still sort of dodging the issue, really, and yes, there were various things pointed out that could be construed to be direct nerfs, and he's still saying, well, that's taken out of context, etc., etc. Well, it's not really taken out of context. The nerf is, in fact, a nerf, and yes, while I agree that some of these changes that he posted right here, which you should read, by the way, because some of them are particularly funny, including the one about if you're in cat or bear form as a troll, and you get hit by Baron Ashby's Asphyxiate, you do 5% additional damage to yourself because of beast slaying. Yeah, that's just so ridiculous. But yeah, that's been fixed. Yeah, a nerf is a nerf, let's be honest, and I have to wonder if they are changing trash around unnecessarily, because people have beaten that trash, and it seems to be fairly reasonable, and people do get better over time. Every time they try something, unless they're a complete idiot, they get better at it. So I have to ask, why lower the bar there? Sure, fix bugs, move things around a little bit, but directly nerfing trash does seem to be a little bit redundant at this early stage of the expansion, or in fact, ever. Sai posts this particularly awful thread on the US forums asking, "Why am I forced to play with scrubs?" Daxari responds, pointing out that you're actually not forced to play with anybody. And indeed, there is a reason why rated battlegrounds have been put into the game. You can avoid doing PvP with randoms entirely. You just use the rated battleground system. Oh, but I don't want to. Well, that's your own problem, isn't it? My earlobe! Oh, God! Well, play better. It's as simple as that. It's such a stupid thing to say, it really is. You know what, some people are going to be below your skill level, and some people are going to be above your skill level. This is, in fact, a fact. And you can avoid these people by grouping with a guild, which I notice you're in. So that seems a little bit redundant to me. Sai, once again, giving the rest of the PvP player base a really bad name. I'm thankful he's not in the majority. Valorous over on the EU forums giving away a little bit of information about new player models. A very long post by Wicked Wookie, the level 85 Tauren Paladin, indicates a desire to get better player models, which I think probably could have been made a little bit more concise, but hey, we'll let him off with it today. And Vanarus has indicated that it is indeed on the agenda, and they are actively thinking about updating the older races' player models. And certainly I think that should happen. There's no doubt about that, and if you look at the Worgen and Goblin, you can very clearly see that the other races are significantly out of date, except for Troll, which will never be out of date. Or fashion. And with that, it's time for your daily grind. This infuriating quest can be found in Hyjal, and it involves saving squirrels, and after running around trying to click on the bastard things as they keep moving, then you know what, I actually don't feel a desire to save squirrels anymore. So thanks Hyjal, I'm now evil. No, wait, I was evil before. And with that, it's time for Machinima Mondays. Today's offering comes in from RedEye, and it actually placed second in the BlizzCon 2010 Machinima contest. It is called I Am Forsaken. It's about 3 minutes long. It is, in every possible respect, as far as I can tell, absolutely excellent. The voice acting is top-notch. The visuals are really, really great. Didn't go overboard with the use of glow and flare and everything like that. It's nicely understated. The story is really awesome, and the conclusion is absolutely fantastic. It's very difficult to criticize this. It's a carefully considered, thoughtfully paced, mature bit of machinima, and I think RedEye had every right to be very, very proud of it. And not to bash on the grand prize winner, but I think this one really should have been the first place. With that, I'm forced to give it no less than 5 trolls out of 5. You can watch the full video by clicking in the description below this video, or indeed clicking the annotation that you should see on the screen right now. And with that, it's time for the mailbox. This one comes in from Jeremy, who says, "Hello, TotalBiscuit. This is the first time I've mailed you, and it's regarding a run of the Halls of Origination instance early this morning. I got grouped with 3 people who were obviously from the same server and guild, and 1 person who was honestly alright and was random. The issue started all because of a pair of braces that dropped on the 3rd boss, which I believe were called the Alpha Braces, a DPS plate users item. And as the only 2 plate users were me, the healer, and the tank, both of us paladins, he rolled need on them, so I rolled need as well as off-spec, as he was the tank and not DPS. He then started raging when I trounced him in the roll about how the item could potentially be a tank item. And when I argued back that they were meant for DPS and should be rolled on as such, I got kicked out of the group, and he said, "I hope you have a fun time finding the tank." My question is, was I in the wrong? His braces were a 279 item level that had about 80 parry, and the Alpha braces were 333. I just want to know whether or not I was in the wrong so I can prevent myself from doing so in future. Well, I had to do a bit of research on this one because tanking stats aren't exactly my strong point. I basically know very little about them. However, in the case of the Alpha braces, yes, you actually were in the wrong. Now, here's the rationale, rhyme, and reason behind that. It's all because of the mastery stat. So there are actually only 2 pairs of item level 333 plate tanking braces in the game at the moment. Yes, that should astonish you. and it astonished me as well. This is one of them, and there is another pair also in the same instance, and those are called the Arm Guards of the Unearthly Light. You'll see them on the screen right here. Here's the thing. As a direct result of mastery, the alpha bracers are good for both tanks and DPS. Obviously, it's going to vary on a class-by-class basis, but for instance, from a Death Knight tanking standpoint, according to Wowhead, these bracers are actually better than the other so-called tanking bracers that you get in here, i.e. the Arm Guards of the Unearthly Light, simply because the socket means more stamina and mastery, which is a higher priority than dodge rating. Comes in from BlueJ44, so full credit to him for that comment. Now, yeah, in that case, you were actually in the wrong there. Those were good tanking bracers. He had every right to roll on them as need, and ergo, you should have rolled on them as off-spec, i.e. you should have rolled greed on them. However, bear in mind, mistakes do happen, and people don't seem to fully still understand the mastery system. It was an upgrade, there's no question about that, and to me, what this indicates is that Blizzard do need to put in some more tanking bracers. 2 pairs at that level in the entire game is just silly. One could argue it's because at that level you can go straight into heroics, but Blizzard has already claimed they want you to gear up in normals first, so why exactly are they making that hard to do by having only one normal mode instance drop item level 333 plate tanking wrists? That is fairly ridiculous, honestly. And, however, here is a tip for those of you who are interested in getting some good tanking wrist gear. There is an epic item that you can get a hold of, and it is a Ramkehen rep reward. You can get this at Exalted, and it is called the Sandguard Bracers. So you might want to go for those. Those are item level 359. But again, some tanks aren't going to be going for dodge and expertise, so you do need options there. Okay, folks, that about wraps it up for today's Azeroth Daily. Thank you for watching, but I would just like to remind you of this week's Postcards from Azeroth contest to win a 60-day time card, courtesy of the Total Halibut channel. Now, this week's theme is very simple. I want your most Christmassy, yes, whatever. Christmas, yes. Christmassy themed screenshots, ladies and gentlemen. Make them as Christmassy as possible, and I will be announcing the winner on Christmas Eve show, which is on Friday, the 24th of December. Post them over on the Facebook. I don't accept them by email. I just don't have the time to sort through all of them. So please go post them on the Facebook, the link to which is the big F button on the top of youtube.com/TotalHalibut, or you can go there directly via facebook.com/CynicalBrit. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.